Knudsen,
What's up, Tursky?
this is Two Guys Talking Golf.
That's right, man. This episode brought to you by Fujikura and Ventus because they're the number one on PGA Tour this season, according to the Darrell survey. Did you know 35% of all driver shaft used on the PGA Tour this year, 2023, have been Fujikura? Fuji was the number one driver shaft brand at both majors so far this year, with a whopping 40% of the field using Fuji at the PGA Championship. Heading into the U.S. Open, 6 of the top 10 ranked players in the world have at least one Ventus wood shaft in their bag, and there's a good chance you'll see a Ventus in the final group on Sunday in Los Angeles, baby. So go to FujiKuraGolf.com, check out their whole wide range of shafts. But thank you, Fuji. And it'll be exciting. LA, baby. How is LA?
Well, before we get into that, just real quick on the Fujikura front, did you see that article I put up recently? I
I
went through the
did.
top 50 in the world. So I went through the official world golf rankings for the top 50, see what driver shaft they're playing. It's a lot of Ventus out
It's
there,
a lot.
like for real. It really is. And it's all across the board, too. You got black TR, blue TR, red TR. Like they're all making appearances up there, and they're pretty much controlling the top 50 right now.
Yeah,
So shout out to them.
I
They're
love
killing
that.
it.
I love that article. It was like, if you haven't seen it, go to golfthebricks.com. Tursky did an awesome job putting that together. I was actually surprised because I feel like I don't see as many TR blacks out on tour. But when you broke it out, like I was shocked. There were more than I thought in that top 50 in
I
the
was
world.
shocked
So,
too. There were
but
what? There were six, I think.
something like that. Yeah, it was kind of
It was
wild.
either
So
five or six in the top 50. And
yeah,
then you just go through like the colorways and the different models
and
of the Ventus, and all of them have multiple golfers in the top 50. So
yeah,
they're obviously doing great things with the Ventus. So good for Fujikura, and they're our show sponsor.
that's right. That's right. So
I can't make up what the top 50 are using, so that's not an ad. It just so happens to be.
that's a good point.
But
There's nothing about that. You can't fake that. You just go into what's in the bags, and there they are. So
all right, so U.S. Open week, Hollywood, baby,
yeah,
L.A., La La
LA.
Land. I was so excited coming into this week just to see the course. You know, you hear so much about Los Angeles Country Club, obviously private. I did some digging while I was out there. Apparently, they have 1,400 members.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's L.A., so you assume a large percentage. It's their second, third, fourth course. They got
True.
12 houses, and it's on the list. But I was talking to the director of instruction, and he was saying he thinks over 50% are like active golfers that play there basically weekly, and he just pumps out lessons all day. So it's
Oh,
like a serious golfer community up there. But LA Country Club in general, people obviously they want to know about the course. So I'll just give my quick breakdown.
all right.
I would say it's like the perfect LA golf course. Like you can see downtown, the skyline, pretty much from the whole course. It's really expansive and it's quirky. Like you have so many different holes. It allows for a lot of creativity. Um, the rough is, I don't know
Nasty.
exactly how to describe it because it's not nasty in some parts. Like if you just miss the fairway in a certain spot, you might have a perfect lie. It might be
Okay.
sitting up. You might even catch a flyer. It's obviously Bermuda, so sometimes it'll sit down, be really stringy, and you almost can't find it. And then you get around the greens, and it's bad. Like, they have this fescue rough that grows up. I mean, it's got to be 14, 18 inches long in certain
Oh,
spots. Um, I was walking out there around the course. It's almost like you can't even walk in it. It's
just
really bad. And those spots are just no fly zones. You cannot hit the ball there. So that's pretty much what all the caddies and players were trying to figure out. Where are those spots that you can't miss? I know Ricky Fowler talked about literally laying up on an 82-yard par three
yeah, I
if
heard
the
of
pin
that.
is in a certain spot. But I don't think he's crazy
No, I
because
mean,
some of these pins, if you do miss in the wrong spot, you're probably going to make double bogey because you'll
oh,
be short-sided in an impossible lie going to a green that's sloping away from you, and the greens are definitely cooking and they're super sloped.
Yeah.
So you really just have to be careful with your approach shots and getting the right angles on your tee shot. So a lot of it's going to be placing the ball, but the problem is the fairways, some of the fairways are sloped at like 45-degree angles.
Yeah.
So you might have to draw a ball into a cut fairway just to keep it in the fairway type thing. And, you know, people are going to make a lot about the yardages on the scorecard, 540-yard par 4, 280-yard par 3. Some of it obviously is going to play shorter. Downhill, it's pretty firm. So the ball is going to be rolling in the fairway. But that being said, there's a 274-yard par 3 that definitely plays to the yardage. And if you're into the wind, like I was watching Jason Day, and we'll get more into Jason Day later, but I was watching Jason Day on that tee, and I'm not sure if he's played the course or not. It didn't seem like it from what he was saying. He was like, I'm just trying to figure out this course right now, when I kind of asked him about it real quick. But he was hitting 3-wood on that hole, like a little choke up 3-wood. But I think he realized that he kind of had to give it all of it to get back there. Yeah, it's not like he was in danger of flying that green. It's a huge green. It's the seventh hole, I believe, 274 par 3. And I stood up there for a little bit. Pretty much everyone was hitting 3-wood. One guy tried to hit 7-wood, came up well short. Ball went up in the air. It started floating. I was looking at it. I was like, that ain't getting there, I don't think. And then it landed in the bunker way short. And he looked at his caddy. He's like, 3-wood.
Yeah.
It was great. And just some of the other holes that I looked at, number 6, people are going to go crazy over number 6. And the broadcast, I'm sure, will be covering it nonstop. But you stand back there, I think it's 330, and you pretty much can't see anything from the tee. You could see like one little tiny part of the fairway, and it's all the way right, and it's not really where you want to hit it. So you really got to get a spot off that tee, and it like goes down the slope, dog legs, hard right. And it's only 330, a little bit downhill, so you could definitely reach the hole. The problem is behind that hole, it's a really like wide, and you just have nowhere to hit it. How do you describe it? It's not deep.
Yeah, it's
like if you took 10 paces from the front to the back.
Yeah,
it's shallow.
Yeah,
it's wide and shallow. And if you go over, there's this huge slope that just has fescue, nothing but fescue behind it. So if your ball's sitting up there, you could do whatever you want to do. You could hit the best flop shot. You could play it like a bunker shot, blast it out. That ball's not staying on the green. It's probably going back down into the bunker. So if you try to attack that green, you really have to keep it short of the pin, in my opinion. I obviously haven't played the hole, but I watched like their short game shots enough to know that long is absolutely dead. So they really have to be careful with number 6. If I was playing the course, I wouldn't even think about it. It's 5-iron. It's nothing but a 5-iron. And the fairway's really wide. Yeah. Like, you're probably not going to miss that fairway. I don't even know if it's possible to miss the fairway because it's basically a funnel that goes down into the bottom. And then, you just have like kind of full 60 in, and you can control it there. So I just don't really see people going at the green. I'm obviously going to be wrong because I'm sure like half the field will go for it and be fine and make birdies. So I'll probably end up being wrong, but just seeing it for the first time myself and seeing a couple groups go through, I just don't see how you go at that green from the tee with any confidence at all, unless they have a really good line and a really good strategy. But that hole is crazy. And then number 8 also is a wild hole. Split fairway, and the fairways, it might be more than a 45-degree angle, honestly. It looked like 60 to me. Like if you don't hit it on the left fringe of the fairway, you might miss that fairway. Like that's how severe it is. And then it kind of splits, but it's like the split doesn't run parallel. So if you're on the left side of the fairway, which is tough to be, you're probably blocked all the way out and just have to hit like a sand wedge over. I think it's like a 580 par five maybe. But yeah, it's deep and you got to place it in the right spot. So it's just a really tough course to go and attack. I bet you just
Yeah.
feel like you're hitting target shots all day at points. Um, it is expansive and wide open in places, but working the angles on approach shots, you just have to be really careful. So all these guys were just working really hard out there trying to plot out. Caddies going out to walk the course again after the practice round, taking all their notes. So it'll just be really interesting to see how different guys attack it. I really hope Ricky Fowler lays up on a par three. That'll be the best moment of the event.
Yeah. But
course-wise, I don't know. Like, what other questions, I guess, would you have as someone who hasn't been there? I didn't walk literally the entire course. It's an impossible walk. It's nothing but hills. Spectators, they're kind of going to get screwed over. I'm not going to lie. Because the way the course is set up, it's just you're not going to be able to cross over on certain holes. Like, you can't even get to some greens. The first tee, it's like you're hitting over guys on the 18th green and the practice green. It's just the setup is really weird. I bet it's really hard to walk around as a spectator, but it's LA. There's a bunch of exclusive tents. They're all going to be
exactly. They're all going to hospitality
popping
tent.
champagne and drinking high-end wine. It's not like a, Coors Light 24-ounce, everyone's like screaming at the players like Bethpage. I don't think that's the vibe you're going to get. But it was just super cool seeing that course. The most unique course I've ever seen. There's nothing like it. I was talking to Greg Moore, our legendary What's in the Bag photographer. I was talking to him, and I was like, I can't even compare this course to another course I've ever seen in the world. Wow. I was like, it almost seems like if you put a skyline behind Torrey Pines, but even then, it's not really like Torrey Pines. Yeah. It's not as straightforward. I feel like Torrey Pines is a pretty straightforward course. It's not that quirky. This is it's like LA. It's like the scene in LA. That's why I say it's the perfect LA course. It's just quirky. Like, if there were graffiti walls all over that course, I wouldn't be surprised. That type of thing. You know what I mean? I mean, it's this exclusive, awesome country club, but the creativity of the layout and how different all the holes are, I was just like, yep, this is a Hollywood track. So, really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
It's weird, though, I mean, because, the quirky stuff, it depends, because sometimes quirky is kind of interesting, and it's refreshing and new and whatever, and then sometimes you get to quirky, and guys just, like, I'm not a quirky hole guy, and maybe it's just I don't have the talent to play those type of holes, but you get too many of them, to me, it just gets like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, why do we have to hit these same shots, or why do we have to hit these irons on a par five, and like, it's just different. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys perform, 4 days as it gets, probably faster and more burnt out and all that. It'll be interesting to see their reaction to the course and their thoughts on the course as you get deeper into the weekend.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between bad quirky and good quirky. Like, if it's nothing but blind shots and you have to hit pitching wedge off the tee on a par four, like, I definitely don't like that. And there are a few blind shots. So don't get me wrong. Like, it would fall under bad quirky kind of by definition. But I think it's such a big, like, championship golf course that it just kind of brings out the creativity rather than taking away from the experience. Yeah. But I know exactly what you're saying. I've obviously played weird munis throughout my entire career. I've played some of the weirdest courses in the world that I've hated. But this is like so big and expansive of a championship course that it just makes it more fun.
Yeah.
It's more like an Open Championship rather than a U.S. Open Championship track to me. With the firmness, like, even guys were testing out driving irons. I'm not sure who actually ended up switching. But it's not like an Oak Hill where the rough is so big you need a 7-wood to blast it out. I think if your ball is screwed, you're hitting lob wedge. Yeah. Like, there is no opportunity if your ball is bad. If it's not bad, you probably have a legitimate shot of getting to the green. So it's kind of just a hit or miss situation with the rough. Um, but anyway, I guess that's all we need to talk about the golf course. Let's get into some equipment.
All right.
We actually low key had some pretty big switches this week.
Yeah.
So let's start with what I think is probably the biggest switch and most surprising. I was kind of just walking the front nine a bit, and I saw Jason Day. He obviously just won, so I was like, he's not switching anything.
Yeah.
I look in his golf bag, TaylorMade P7 TW blade irons.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? So I continue walking with his group. I didn't talk to him at first because I just didn't really expect him to be changing anything. I was like, all right, Jason Day's playing the practice round. I'm walking the course. Like, I'll get a video of his swing and then keep it moving, you know.
Yep.
But then I saw the bag, so I was like, all right, I'll stick with the group a little bit. So I see him on the 6th tee box, and just the nature of that hole, you know, they're waiting for the group ahead to play the entire hole. So we have a second, and I'm like, Day, what is going on with the irons, man? Like, you just won. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, I wasn't unhappy with the P7 MCs that I won with. I was not unhappy. I obviously just won with them. He's like, I know. But he was like, I was hitting balls this weekend, like on Sunday in Ohio. He obviously has that awesome garage, beautiful practice setup in Ohio.
Insane.
He calls it the garage. It's not.
It's dope.
Or no, he calls it his barn. He calls it his barn.
And it's sweet.
It's obviously not. It's like $100 million state-of-the-art practice facility. But he was hitting balls over the weekend. Right before he's going to the U.S. Open, he's testing irons out. But he was like, I noticed that the P7 MCs were just flying and spinning a little bit lower than I wanted, and I wanted something with higher spin. So I tried out the T-dubs, and he was like, they were perfect. It was slightly more spin, so I ended up getting a little bit more height. And you're going to the U.S. Open, so it's like you do want that extra control going in. Yeah. So ultimately, I guess it does make sense. But to me, the P7 TWs are such a different profile than the P7 MCs. To me, the P7 MCs are like almost a little more compact. They're like a little rounder, and they have a little bit thicker top line, like the offset's slightly different. P7 TWs are long, thin blade irons.
Yeah.
You know, they just have a completely different look. But he was excited. He really likes the change. And I was like, these are probably the freshest sets of P7 TWs like in existence right now. Like definitely on tour. He's like, yeah, they're literally 2 days old. Wow. So that was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That was on Tuesday. So 2 days old. He put them in the bag Monday morning.
I wonder.
Jason Day, a month after winning.
I love it.
Crazy.
I mean, I've seen that his barn, as they call it, it is insane. I mean, it's one of those, if you ever win the lotto, I'd love to build something like that. But I wonder if he had, because that's such a short time frame, right? Like he almost didn't have enough time to plan this change out. Like, I don't think he was sitting for the past couple of weeks and just like, do I need to change? Whatever. I mean, so did he have these irons just like sitting in his barn? Like, did he had a set built for him?
Probably.
They've just been sitting there and he just decided, hey, I'm going to try them. And I know he had to have them. And then when we posted it on Instagram, on the Golf Theory X Instagram, a lot of people were like, yes, why would you change? What would you change? And then people were like, well, why would you change a whole club head, not change the shaft? Just make a shaft change. It's something that spins a little more, launches a little higher, whatever. And honestly, I think it's a smart move because for him, it's not, I mean, yes, the MCs at us amateur level, a little more forgiving. I mean, they're a cavity back, but it's super shallow. I mean, it's not that much different. And I think for some players, the shaft is a timing mechanism. It is getting used to the shaft to work with that swing. I think that may be for some players a harder change, especially in irons, than it would be to just swap the heads out for something that launches and spins a little bit higher. Because for him, he's gonna hit the center. I mean, that's not a big deal. It's not like he's like, oh gosh, I'm not gonna lose all this forgiveness and all that. They're going to be bent to his specs. They're going to be built up exactly to his specs. Like, you told me, same shaft, KBS C taper, 125 S pluses. And I think I think it's an easier swap to keep the shaft, move the head, and he can kind of dial that in a little faster than moving to a totally different shaft.
I 100% agree with you. I think for a lot of these guys, now this doesn't necessarily apply to amateurs, but maybe it could. A
Yeah.
lot of these guys, like you said, the shaft and the irons is almost more important
Yeah.
because you probably are going to hit the center. And what was it, like 3, 4 weeks ago, we talked about my little iron testing that I was doing,
Yeah.
where I tested like, 7 different heads, some with different shafts. And to me, it did come down to getting the right shaft in play.
Yep.
If I get the Project X 6.5s, I'm probably going to hit a nice little cut. If I get the wrong shaft in, I'm probably going to hook it, spin it too much. It's going to float. So for me as a player, I know that I do kind of use the shaft as like a timing mechanism.
Yeah.
The way it
Feel the
loads
timing.
during the
Yeah.
transition, how I can release the club. Now, obviously, minor changes in offset and CG will have an effect for sure on ball flight and spin. Like, don't get me wrong. It's like a 50-50 thing. You got to get the right club head. But for a guy like that, just changing that one variable will get him to the spot that he wants to be. And he wanted a little more height, a little more spin, probably a little more workability control. Like that was the switch that he should have made. Like he
Yeah.
made the right switch on paper. It just looks weird because he just won for the first time in 5 years with those irons.
I
You
know.
know,
It's kind of crazy.
the
But
timing of that is interesting, but ultimately, based on what he said, I do think he made like a smart switch, and he was smart not changing the shaft because
yeah.
that changes the way your swing almost feels. Like
Yeah.
my swing feels way different if I'm playing with a light shaft versus a heavy shaft. It
Yep.
almost changes my mentality of how I go about the swing.
Yeah.
It can have that big of effect.
And when you're under the gun, like come like a Saturday, if he's playing well and he's trying to get up top of the leaderboard, getting to one of those later spots on Sunday, having the confidence that like you said, the feel, that timing, all that's the same. You don't have to worry about can you bring it to the course. Like yeah, I can. Like he's going to be more confident in this change when the shots really matter than he would be doing a complete just taking MC heads and throwing a different shaft in. I think
I 100% agree. We're in
so.
agreement. Isn't that fun?
There we go. Hey, doesn't happen all the time, but it's kind of nice.
All right. Another interesting change that I thought, I guess, probably minor when compared to Jason Day changing out his entire set, but Justin Thomas.
Yep.
So for like, I would say 4 years probably, I think he's been playing a mixed set. So he plays blades down below. Used to play the 620 MBs. Now he plays the 621 JTs.
Yeah.
Not a lot of offset going on there.
Ooh.
I think everyone's probably seen the profiles of his irons. If not, just Google Justin Thomas 621 JT irons. We have a million photos floating out there, forums, Instagram, whatever. But then he goes with a T100 4-iron at the top of the set. So when Titleist came out with the new T100s, he put one in back in 2019, I think. I might have that year wrong.
He's had it for
Maybe
a little
it
while,
hasn't
though.
been that long, but it's been like years.
Yeah.
So when the new T100s came out at the Memorial, I understand, he did some testing. I don't think he switched to it that week, but he is switching to it this week. So I caught up with him just to kind of see what he had to say. And a lot like everyone else's feedback on the iron is just a really easy transition. Like performance didn't really change much. He just found more consistency with spin. He was like, I wasn't getting the high spin numbers on the misses or the low spin numbers that I was with the old one. So I just moved right into it, like no brainer. Kept the shaft and all the specs the same. And he just, like some of the other guys I was talking to at Memorial, just a slight improvement on feel and look. I think they kind of cleaned up like the off that hosel par area, they call it.
Yep.
And it just looks like a little bit cleaner. And I know that we like the back badging, what they did with the Titleist, like moving it to the center, kind of giving a uniform look from blades all the way up to the 350s. I mean, I really like where they put the Titleist scripting right in the center up top on the club. So pretty basic, easy transition for him there. but he was also testing out a U505.
Yep.
And I was looking at I was like kind of standing right there, just watching his testing session. He had probably 4 different clubs built up with all sorts of different shafts. I think he had 1 steel and then 3 different graphite shafts. It was hard to tell exactly because of the angle I was looking at, but they were graphite shafts, and he was like bouncing between hitting low draws and high cuts. I think he was really just testing it out, like doing experimentation, kind of like me and you would if we went out to the course. It's like, all right, let's go for a test drive. Let's see what we got. What can I do with this club? He was absolutely striping it. I just don't think he's going to switch into it. It was more of like a course dependent thing. He's more of a 5-wood guy, really, and he always has been. But it was pretty cool seeing him hit driving irons. He could definitely hit the crap out of driving irons. I wish that he played with them, but is what it is. So I think we're just going to get a T100 switch from him, and then he went to a red, white, and blue Super Stroke traction.
Yeah.
I think it's traction. That makes way more sense. Traction.
Yeah.
Super Stroke traction grip, which he went away from for the past like month, I think, but he's back in it. Red, white, and blue custom. So
yeah,
he looked to be pretty dialed in. He seemed to be in good spirits. He was working hard. So I expect good things from JT this week.
Yeah, interesting on the putter grip and it's funny because we've done you and Greg. I mean, the amount of what's in the bags that are in the forum from the U.S. Open is insane. The list is crazy long, but it's interesting that him and I think it was Luke List both with kind of putters in the bag using the old traction grip from Superstroke, because now, I mean, if you go online now, the Zenergy is kind of their new. The material itself didn't change so much, but they kind of changed the texture of it and put some micro textures in different spots and stuff like that. But kind of interesting that he is still sticking with the older one, much just like the feel or the placements there on that grip.
Wait, was it a traction or was it a Zenergy that he switched to? I may have misspoke.
I'm looking at it right now. It's a traction.
Okay, all right.
It's a red, white, and blue, but him, and then I think it was Luke List, because I was doing a little spotted piece on that he had the old traction in as well. Where a lot of guys have moved on to the Zenergy. Like a lot of guys have moved on to the new one with no problems, but these two guys much just like the feel or that texture, whatever it is, of that old grip. Because I was expecting to, when I heard new grip, I was expecting to see a Zenergy.
Here's my theory on that. They just might not have a red, white, and blue one for this Zenergy grip yet.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. I didn't think to ask that question, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool there from JT. He wasn't the only one that made some T100 switches this week. We saw I dove over in the bag of Cam Smith. Yeah. He has not an entire set, but he has all black T100s, the new ones in the bag, and then he has a T200 as well at the top of the bag, all blacked out.
Oh,
it just looks cool.
Sweet.
He's got the black putter. Yeah, it's just a badass bag. Not much else you could say there. And then Sanjay Im also went to a whole new set of T100s. So the new T100s are hot.
Yeah.
Huge number of players switched the Memorial, even more at the U.S. Open. So great start for the T100s, and not surprising because it doesn't seem like they're drastically different than the old ones. So they came in and did what they had to do, Titleist. They kept the T100s the way the players wanted, really, because they all love the original T100s, but they just made small improvements to look, feel, and obviously aesthetics. So
yeah,
good start.
It's just like Cam Smith makes you so jealous because one, I'm going to say the T200 in black from Address looks just amazing. It
Unbelievable.
Looks so good.
I need it. I need it.
Yeah, like I kind of like I'm liking the T200 right now. Just looking at those. But the downside is I don't think, we don't know, but Titleist typically doesn't release the chrome or silver and the black irons at the same time. Typically, we have to wait for the black irons. So it's one of those, like, you see Cam Smith with them and you're like, all right, well, should I jump at the chance and get the silver, T200s, 100s, whatever you're going to get? Or do I wait for the black ones to come out? Because the black ones look sick. So That's the only downside of looking at Cam Smith's bag. Is like, those aren't coming out for a little while. Well, they might. Who knows? Maybe they'll do both at the same time. We'll see here.
I know a little bit more than you do, but I don't think I'm at liberty to speak on it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Like I'm just going by previous launches and all that they have not made them available both at the same time, which has been kind of a bummer. But the black looks.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, if I had my choice of a set, I would go T200 and maybe 150 combo, but I'd do all black. Really dope.
I think I would just go with the Cam Smith setup.
Yeah.
Just black T100s. Obviously, I got to go with Project X 6.5s this time, and T200 up top with the 4-iron, or maybe even a 3-iron. I don't know. I'm going to have to test that out.
Yeah.
I am going to Titleist on Friday.
Ugh.
Today's Thursday. We film on Thursday. I'm actually going to go over to LACC one more time today during a real event.
Yeah.
I never go to real events. I usually just go to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then get out of there. But I'll go see him play some real golf. I love the course, so I want to go see him actually go and take it serious and just kind of catch the vibe there. But so that's Thursday. Today's Thursday. Going to head over the course here in a second. And Friday going to Titleist, and I think I'm going to hit everything, see it, feel it, test it out against what I have in the bag now, which is still the PXGs.
Wow.
They've hung on. Yeah, they've hung on. So I'm curious to see where those fit into the Titleist lineup and, where I end up.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly when I'm going to be able to report back on that and when all the content's going to hit, how it goes with embargoes and stuff. But I'll report back as much as I possibly can. And the audience knows I'm going to keep it real about what I feel.
Well, I'm set to hit him at the end of the month.
Yeah,
end of the month, I'm set to hit him. So I'll hit him locally here. I'm unfortunately won't go to get TPI, but I think the 28th. I think is the. I think it's the Wednesday of the Rocket. I'll be locally here, going to a place to go hit him. So I'm super excited to try.
So I guess after the 28th, at some point, whenever we're allowed, we'll just do a whole Titleist show. We'll just go through.
Compare
our
notes.
Bags, our specs. Yeah, exactly. Compare notes. We'll try not to talk beforehand.
Yeah.
So I don't want to know your take before you hear mine.
I love it.
And then I guess on the Titleist front, technically Titleist, but Scotty Cameron. Scotty Scheffler is so good at ball striking and so bad at putting, especially this year. So I was going through his stats, strokes gained total. First, strokes gained off the tee. First, strokes gained tee to green. First, strokes gained approach the green. First, strokes gained putting 148.
Oh boy, that's a big. That's a slide. That's a little bit of a slide.
And so he's been playing the Scotty Cameron Tour type SSS.
I think it's a GSS.
Is it GSS?
I think it's
so
tour
he's been
type
playing the
GSS,
G.
yeah.
He's been playing the GSS. I'm sure you've all seen it. Cool little custom job on it.
It's pretty
Beautiful
sweet.
putter.
Sweet.
Just hasn't been making any putts with it, and it got really bad at the Memorial. So he came this week, did a bunch of putter testing. I probably saw him test out 4 different models. I'm sure everyone's seen the picture that's kind of gone viral at this point on @GolfWRX on Instagram of him changing out the weights himself. Yep. I was standing right there, and I'm trying to get a feel for what Scotty's doing. He just came off the course of his practice round, went back to the practice green. So my goal was like, all right, what's he doing with his putter? What's going on? He had no weights in this. So what is it? It's the Timeless Plus SSS Masterful Scotty Cameron with the 2 weights on each side, and it's the Plus version, so it's slightly wider body.
Yeah, a little bit wider. Yep.
But he had no weights in it when he played his practice round. Then he got to the practice green. He's putting in the weights himself. So he puts in 5-gram weights on the toe and the heel section, which when I think about it, it makes sense to me why he tried it with no weights, because he's been playing this pretty heavy putter. He's got
Yeah.
25-gram weights in each side on his
Yep.
tour type that he's been playing, for the whole year. Then he goes
Yep.
to the wide body, which has to be, I don't know, 30 grams heavier. I mean, how much heavier do you think that putter head is?
See, I think when you get into the tour stuff there, so when you get into that new one, which is based off the the Super Selects that are out now, like the retail ones, it's got that aluminum sole plate in it. So I
Hmm.
think with those guys, Scotty can dial it into whatever. He could probably mill a little bit out of that pocket, put that plate back in, and make it, 330, 340, whatever they want. My guess is that head, if he had no weights in it, was still messing with it. I'm thinking that head is 340 grams. It would be my guess. And then he put in two 5 gram weights, makes it 350. Still a little bit lighter than his tour type. Or maybe gets it equal. I mean, maybe it's a 340 head or a 350 head. I mean, it's hard to tell, especially with the prototypes, because Scotty can do whatever he wants in a way.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I was just trying to figure it out.
I know.
The Scotty Cameron Tour reps, like they had no idea what he was doing either. Everyone's kind of trying to figure out what direction he wants to go in. So I didn't get too much info from them. It was kind of just like a wait and see type thing. So I was just going off observation. But it made sense that if you go to a wider body, probably heavier head, that you're going to lighten up on the weights compared to the 25-gram weights he has in his gamer. So that continued the whole week. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he was experimenting with the putter. And I got word today that he showed up to the course with the Timeless Plus, and I think that went in the bag.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, the putter that he was fiddling with and throwing weights in, and the one that
Is
went
there?
viral, it looks like that's the one that he put in play. I'm going to go over to the course, obviously, get as good of pictures as I possibly can, and figure out what's really going on. But if he can figure out a putter that helps him out, it's like, who's going to compete
Yeah.
other than, Brooks, DJ, Rom? It's really tough to compete with a guy who is the best ball striker with the driver, the irons, the wedges, like across the board. And then he's going to make putts too. And going with the
I know.
wider body, that makes sense to me. Like for him, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
He probably does need like a little bit more forgiveness. I don't know if he's hitting the center of the face every time. I don't know. He's obviously missing putts for a reason. Do I think he's misreading putts? Like, no, he has a great caddy. He knows what he's doing. I think he's reading it fine. Something's either going on with the stroke or the contact. And his new putter has a smooth face rather than like the shallow milling of his other putter, which probably
Yeah.
doesn't change feel a ton, but you know, it changes it enough to be different. And I think just shaking things up for him is a really good thing,
Yeah.
at least right now.
It's probably a little more crisp, just a hair more, just a hair firmer. And guys at
A
his
little
level, I
firmer,
mean,
yeah.
they're gonna feel and hear that sound. The other thing too is with that longer putter, depending again with Scotty being able to kind of do what he wants. If it's a little longer, it also may just slide that CG just back a touch, and maybe through the rotation of
Mm-hmm.
his putting stroke, he may feel something a little bit different. That is what he's looking for, or maybe it's helping with getting that putter face back to square at impact or something. Because having a little more metal further back, it's just going to slide that CG back a little bit away from the face. So it could be a handful of different things of why he's moving to or it could be a slightly longer alignment aid, and it's just a different look. I mean, those type of things all kind of could play a factor at a guy at his level with his skills.
I think you just absolutely killed that segment, Knudsen. I think you nailed it. I think you absolutely nailed it. Like probably a slightly longer line too with the wider body,
Yeah,
little back CG. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's probably ultimately why he switched. I think if he was on the show, he would be saying exactly what you said. So we'll keep an eye on that throughout the weekend,
yeah.
maybe weekend. I don't know. Who knows what Scotty's going to do
I
this
hope he
week?
does well. I like Scotty a lot. I
But
love his game. I hope he plays well.
I'm really happy to see him switch because he's obviously just been struggling on the greens, and he
Yeah.
paid a lot of attention early in the week. So he's doing the right things.
Yep.
He's doing what he has to do to kind of fix that situation. Um, I got one more kind of interesting putter story. I guess I'll be careful how I report on this. I don't really know exactly what's going on, but Sebastian Munoz,
Yep.
we haven't seen him for a while. He's obviously been on the Live Tour, but we have what's in the bags from years and years, and we know that he plays a Ping Sigma 2 Valor mallet, which if you've never seen that putter, it has a bunch of like small milled lines that run like parallel to the target. So if you're looking down at the putter from address, all these lines are going towards the target. And then you have one center line that's like long and white pointing at the target from the center of the putter. He had been using that I went all the way back to 2019, and he had that in the bag.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, he was like working with his coach, and they realized that if he doesn't have any alignment lines, he actually aligns and putts better. So they wanted to cover up all of the lines. They just wanted something like smooth back there, no lines, which I understand. I went that way too recently. Yeah. And there are a lot of people like that who just align and putt better, get better speed control when they're not distracted by a line. So I get it. His fix was to put black duct tape down that flange, down that back flange. And I asked the guys at Ping, I was like, why not just paint fill it? Like, what's the deal? Yeah. They were like, he just wants nothing at all to look at. No lines. He doesn't want to be distracted at all. So the black duct tape was his fix. So we posted it. And as it turns out, I think the USGA heard about it. And I don't think they like the black duct tape. I think it's illegal. So I think they're making him take it off.
Yeah.
Serious. It's like a Hideki situation almost with the paint on the face, where we thought it wasn't a big deal, but it's actually illegal.
Yeah.
And I started asking around a little bit. Why is it different than lead tape? How could that possibly be different than lead tape? And there's a rule in the USGA handbook that says you can't have adhesive tape. Like lead tape is different because it kind of conforms to the actual body and it's not quote unquote easily removable. So you can't have tape. And it says it. Like it says adhesive bandage or tape. You can't put on the club head. So I was trying to think back. I was like, has there ever been duct tape on a putter? No, I couldn't think of anything.
No.
But there's a ton of examples of masking tape where you like kind of put a little piece of tape on, especially if you're testing between two drivers. Like you might put masking tape on one and put a number 2 or something on it. Like we see masking tape all the time. Also, and I'm not going to call anyone out specifically, but if you happen to listen to the show, I would get rid of them. Stickers.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Like when stickers fall under adhesive bandage or tape, how could you possibly say that a sticker is different than tape?
Dude.
Like they both use glue to stick on clubs. I know you're probably thinking of one person in particular, and so am I. I might actually send him a DM, but it's like if they're going to say that duct tape is illegal, then how can you qualify duct tape as being illegal if you're not going to qualify a sticker?
Yeah, that's true.
That makes no sense to me. And I wouldn't be able to admit that they were right because a sticker and tape is the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, right?
They
basically are. Yeah, they are.
Or am I wrong? Like,
no, you're right. I mean,
do I have faulty logic here?
No, a sticker just has printing and it's cut out maybe in a different way, and that's about the only thing different than a piece of tape. But I totally get the tape part. I think it's one of those that, I think it's, where lead tape, like you said, I mean, yes, it's a little harder to remove and it has that actual performance function in a way of making weight and all that. But the duct tape, I mean, I guess if you put it, especially on the back of that putter, that mallet, it could get wet with dew, flap around, move around, whatever. I guess that's, part of the club, and it could be moving or fall off or whatever and be different than before. And I guess in some weird way, you could look at that as some type of an advantage, but I don't see where it would be. But that's pretty interesting. And thankfully he caught it, though. I mean, it's better than the Hideki situation where he put it in play and had problems. Right. Hopefully.
That was my thing. It's like, I do feel bad because, we probably brought the attention that ended up, forcing him to take it off. But it's also like good thing it was before the event.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't want that DQ. You
Yeah.
definitely don't want the DQ. But on that line of thinking, I get that it's visible from a dress, so that kind of changes things. But how could it be different than like an X sticker or an S sticker or an R sticker that it come on a club head where you buy it off the rack and it's already on the driver? Like, a lot of people don't end up removing those. Are
Yeah.
those illegal?
And
And how do we define the difference here?
yeah.
I guess because it's visual aid technically, but it's literally like visual non-aid in this circumstance. You're literally just blacking it out.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, it's still helping with the alignment and all that. I mean, for him, it just happens to be naked and have nothing, but it's still technically helping with alignment. You're removing lines that are already there. But yeah, I mean, the stickers on there, you're probably right. If you went to some like U.S. Open qualifier or something like that out and like, seeing some amateur guys, you're probably right. There's probably somebody who's got a sticker or two left over. And then does that count on the shaft as well? Because I mean, there's tons of tour players that up near the grip, they've got little stickers of,
Yeah.
tipping numbers or
Yeah.
names or numbers or, some type of identification of that. Like you said, with the, drivers, number 1, number 2, I was testing them on the range.
So many people.
Yeah. You've got shafts that are tipped,
And people in
untipped.
general, they have like those shaft kind of labels where you put like your
Yeah.
name and your number and your email address or whatever if the club gets lost. Like,
But what about the fact that there's shaft?
tape type adhesive stickers all over golf clubs.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
over.
a non-tour issue Dynamic Gold has just a little band on it, and that's it. And
Right.
and those things peel off all the time. I remember playing with those things, and they start peeling and all that. So yeah, I mean, those are the same way. But I mean, I've got a set of I can see, what is it? A Vokey wedge that's got the little Vokey shaft tag sitting right there. That's like the little blade cutting wheel that's sitting over there, and it's kind of like a brownish color. And that's interesting. We have to dig into the ruling
Weird.
on that, especially with
I got to
shafts.
talk to someone at the USGA.
Yeah.
This just happened last night. I just got word about this last night. So I need to dig in with the USGA and figure out what this rule is all about, what the heart of the rule is, and making the case that duct tape is different than lead tape is a real tough one to me. I can easily peel off like freshly applied lead tape from my wedge.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Easy.
If I just put one strip of lead tape on there and it hasn't been there for like, 2 years, like Scott Piercy, where it's caked into the club, like it's baked into the metal itself.
Yep.
If I just have a fresh piece of lead tape on a putter or a wedge or an iron, I can peel that off.
Oh yeah, it comes right off.
It's no different than duct tape in my opinion. I think duct tape is like should be more allowed than lead tape.
It might stay on better.
At the heart of this rule, if you're saying that if you can remove it easily, then it's a problem, then I guess lead tape's illegal.
Yeah.
Which I would obviously hate to see. Like, that's not what I want at all.
No.
But I'm saying, like, that's essentially what the USGA is saying. Now, maybe they reviewed it and he doesn't have to take the duct tape off. But as of last night, that's the word that I heard, that he was going to have to take it off. And it's being counted as adhesive bandage rather than, like, in the lead tape category. So a weird, wild, twisting story there that I'm going to have to dig in more to. And I'd love to just clear it up because, even for me or for any tour player or for amateurs playing in, a USGA event, whatever, like, you don't want to be playing with an illegal club. So what's the rule here?
Yeah.
I guess we've never had to really cross this path before because duct tape's not popular, but duct tape and stickers are at least brother, sister,
True. They're in the same ballpark.
So they're in the same ballpark for sure. And then last story here, we'll move on from the duct tape. Last story here, Dustin Johnson. He hit probably 5,000 drivers through the course of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He seemed to be testing between his Stealth Plus that he'd been using for 2 years. I think he's trying to work in the Stealth 2 Plus. He clearly likes the driver. He has the Stealth 2 Plus equipped with an LA golf shaft. He has his original Stealth with the speeders 661, I believe it is, that he's been playing
Forever.
so long.
Forever.
Long. Pretty much since he came out on tour, I think. Like, legitimately, right? I think he's been playing a speeder throughout his entire career.
Yeah. In some way or some fashion, he always seems to go back to it too when he tries other stuff. So yeah, it's that Evolution speeder. I think it's like a 661 2.0 or something. It's like a kind of a prototype built for him, but a pretty piece that he's comfortable with for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly what he's playing because it's usually a prototype, but yeah, something he's very comfortable with. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell like what this dude is looking at because he stripes every drive no matter what. Like everything is 318 with this beautiful buttery cut, and it's like, are you either trying to hit it high or low? That's pretty much the choice that he makes between every shot. Other than that, he doesn't really miss. And all the ball flights look pretty similar. The distances are incredible. I just think it comes down to like, what is he looking at? What does he feel? What is he comfortable with? Because on paper, like, yeah, you should probably switch to the Stealth 2 Plus and like get that extra, 1.9 yards or whatever it works out to when you aggregate and average out the difference between the two. But he's DJ.
Yeah.
He drives the ball like no one else in the world. He's incredible off the tee, what he can do with the driver. So who knows? Like this could be a day-to-day switch situation. He seems really happy with both of these two. I asked him, I was like, do you think you're going to switch to the new one or the old one? He literally was like, I don't know. I like them both. I have two that I like. So he doesn't know either. So there's not really much insight I can give other than I watched DJ hit 5,000 beautiful cut shots that had no shot of missing a fairway and no shot of going under 310 yards.
Yep.
It's incredible to watch. I mean, it's really cool. And it's interesting just watching his testing process. But sometimes I just don't know what he's looking at. It's got to be tough when you hit everything perfect.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the only thing I can say with moving to Stealth 2 from the original Stealth for a guy like him is that if you do slightly miss it, I feel like that spin window doesn't change as much. If you low heel it and it's like that shot with the original Stealth would kind of spin up and maybe into the wind, you'd get that kind of weak floater that would get up in there with some high spin and drop short. That's reduced a little bit with Stealth 2. At least for me, I noticed that all over the face I hit it and that spin number doesn't jump up or drop really fast. I mean, that'd be the one advantage. I mean, for him, I could see where, if you miss it just that, a couple millimeters out on the toe or something like that, that shot probably maybe goes a little bit farther than it did with your OG one. But yeah, I mean, a pretty legit setup. I mean, he's basically a 10.5 driver, a 1 degree sleeve set higher. And I wonder, because they have 1 degree sleeves, 2 degree sleeves, they've got a couple different ones on the trucks. I wonder if that 1 degree sleeve like doesn't shut the face as much or something. Like I wonder if that's a little different. Like instead of using a 2 degree sleeve or something like that, I wonder if it maybe just doesn't shut that face as much, keeps the visuals better, or maybe it has something to do with lie. Maybe like that one gets either more flat, more upright than the 2 degree sleeve. But yeah, I mean, 15 gram weight in the back, which is the same as retail, 15 up front. I mean, he's probably got some hot melt in there somewhere, but yeah, no tipping on the driver shaft either. So pretty interesting that you got all those specs out of those boys. But yeah, I mean, I think he's just got to be tweaking it at this point, just finding that absolute finite details. Just maybe to keep the distance more consistently when he's not having a great day with the driver.
I did see him, now that I'm kind of thinking back on watching his testing session, I did see him for maybe 2 shots. He wrenched the weight, put it slightly into the heel, hit like 2 shots. He was like, nah, moved it right back. That was about it. All right, so let's do some predictions as we wrap up the U.S. Open Two Guys Talking Golf show. We need official predictions for a winner here from both of us, and then we need a prediction on winning score, which I have no freaking idea. But
I know.
Let's do it. Let's get them on. Let's get them on paper. I'm gonna write them down too, so I don't forget.
Oof.
All right. So we've had some hotel Wi-Fi connection issues. I believe what I heard was you said Patrick Cantlay at 2 under or 3 under.
2. I'm going. I originally said 3, but I'm going 2. I think it's going to be
Okay.
rough out there.
All right. I respect that. I think you're thinking there's carnage, basically.
Yeah.
Just double bogeys and bogeys flying. I get that. I agree with you. I think second place will be 3 under, and I think Brooks Koepka wins by 7.
What?
And he finishes at 10 under.
Holy wow.
No, I do think Koepka wins. Obviously, probably not by 7, but I think Brooks wins at 10 under.
Holy smokes!
And I think DJ finishes second place.
Wow.
Those two just look, to me, they're the Bash brothers, and they're like in the prime of being Bash brothers right now. Like they both just look so dialed and striping the ball, and the way the course is set up, if they just have like a decent game plan and lay up on the right holes in the right spots, I think it's theirs for the taking. Like all those long par 3s, I don't think anyone sets up better for those type holes than those two. They both hit it really high. They both hit those beautiful, nice cut shots, and they don't miss the center of the face. So I don't see distance being any sort of issue.
No.
And, they're obviously both playing incredibly well at the moment, confident, probably a lot of stress off from just the state of the golf world right now for them. So
True.
Just like no worries in the world. Their bank accounts are completely good and their games are striding. So I think either Brooks or DJ wins this week, but I'm choosing Brooks because he looked especially locked and confident. So There we go. The bet is on the table. What are we playing? What are we playing for here? Just pride?
Maybe a sleeve of Pro Vs.
All right, let's do something like that. All right, so that was 2 guys talking golf from Hollywood. We done went Hollywood on them nuts.
That's right, baby. We're big time.
All right, all you guys enjoy at home. This is one like I'm not gonna be able to take my eyes off. I'm very curious to see how this week plays out. So just enjoy the week, and we'll see you next week at the Travelers. That was 2 guys talking golf. We'll see you next week.